Hello and welcome to the April 23rd entry of the Daily Stoic. We're going to read the daily quote, see if we can make some sense of it, and then see what Ryan Holiday has to say about it all. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. April 23rd. The mind is all yours.
Okay.
I'm assuming what he means by that is that another person can't inhibit the freedom of your mind the way that they could your body or your circumstances or something.
Like you might have more control over the mind than you have over anything else.
Right.
But you don't have, but it's not all yours either. Well, it is all yours, but you don't have control over the entire thing.
That
would be
is
my little star to it.
Yeah, and that is like a very, very nuanced point there.
Sure.
But yeah, it's like for all intents and purposes,
Yeah.
yes, the mind is all yours. Thank you. Thank you for the reminder. Okay, Marcus Aurelius. You have been formed of three parts, body, breath, and mind. Of these, the first two are yours insofar as they are only in your care. The third alone is truly yours.
Mm-hmm. So, body and the breath is not, they're yours.
They're yours to take care of. Which I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but
they're in your care.
The mind is truly yours. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. That brings me to that nuance point of like, well, it's not all yours. Some of it you have control over inside of that mind. Now, also, what is the definition of mind? I guess
Right, and so the way I'm kind of taking what he's saying here is like, what the example that comes to mind is like, they can put you in prison. That's where your body is,
mm-hmm.
but they can't control what's going on in your mind. And life decides whether you get more breath or not. But you get to decide in every single moment, how am I relating to this breath or how am I doing this? There's just like, I agree with that, the nuance point that you're trying to make. And I'm also trying to see what he's driving at here. And that's where I can see where he's driving at, which is just, there's a much greater degree of control that we can have over one's mind than over whether or not we wake up in the morning and whether or not like something bad happens to us, to our body or something,
mm-hmm.
Like,
mm-hmm.
I don't know. It is tricky because body, breath, and mind, I could use a definition, honestly, for all three of those, according to him. If he's saying this is what these three things are, then let me have some like clear boundaries over what is one and the next, because even body and mind become very, very sticky to each other, and body and breath become sticky, and mind and like they're all very sticky.
Mm-hmm.
So I am having a tricky time kind of drawing the boundaries.
Yeah, I would have to if I define mind as the place to where the thoughts appear on or something. And then because now they appeared, so now there's this mechanism of, oh, I know about it. Like, okay, that could be part of it. And then like, what do I do with this thought now? Do I go make this decision? Do I do that? Is it a good thought? Should I use it? Should I forget it? Should I let it go? What should I do with this? Like all of those mechanisms there, we call mind, I guess. And then from that standpoint, you have control over that, right? In some way. This decision making, what to do with the things that appear, but full control over it is like full control almost means like you get to decide of like how it's going to be, but that is already outside of your control. So it's like the boundary is super in my mind that the boundary of where mind transitions into something that's no longer mine. It would be like what I'm calling mine is that thing that we have control over. Could that be mind?
Yeah, and then it's almost using your body as a vehicle of expression of itself, because I really love that the Stoics talk about the things we have control over being these three things: the thoughts, which is obviously part of the mind, but then the words, that now is like, it feels like it's part of the body, but really maybe the body is just the mechanism to express something, but really what's being expressed is mind. And also behavior, what I do with my body in space and with and towards other people, that's also programmed by the mind and just sent down to the body for expression.
Mm-hmm.
So all of that then becomes the mind, like the thoughts.
But when you say the thoughts, like I agree with the second and the third, but the first one I'm a little confused about, because when you say thoughts, like you have control over thoughts, like what do you mean?
I'm using thoughts and perspective synonymously. So a thought like would just be an individual like sentence or an image that I might see.
Mm-hmm.
That is, and gets back to your nuanced point. I agree with you. I don't see how I have control over that showing up, a sentence showing up, an image showing up. That happens, but there is some sort of willpower in the system that is able to look at that thought or that sentence or whatever it is and evaluate it.
Yeah, that's the control.
That's the control.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying.
That's like, that's what we have. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like that's what I'm saying of like
to look
the
at
perspective.
The perspective of it, yeah.
Is created by that scrutinizing of something, of like, hey, I've looked at my points of view, I've looked at my opinions on this, I've evaluated them. And then you arrive at a perspective or a point of view. That is what I'm saying is like what I have control over.
Yeah.
But the individual thoughts that are just like kind of coming through, no, that's like supplied to me by life.
Yeah.
Like that to me is almost like the breath.
Or something, yeah. Yeah, it's being supplied, right, by the higher the things that we appeared in, that's supplying these thoughts or whatever, right? And then we look at him. So that's where you're saying that's where we have control to like look at him and then create some sort of idea or understanding from it, right? So like we can do that, and then we also have like control to change how we're looking at it later, right? A lot of us are very rigid with some of these images of how we create them, and then we say we believe it becomes belief when we don't want to change it anymore, right? But if we are still open, the door is still open to like some new thing can come in, and now I can change because I have the ability to change the way I am looking at that. So that is like that would be like the control boundary or something. Yeah. And then you say, oh, I'm going to say this, or I'm not going to say that. Like you have control over that. You can say.
Right. Or I'm going to do this.
I'm going to tell the body to go speak, to go do, move, to go do things. You can send those signals out, or you can not send those signals
or
out.
You can send different signals.
Or you can say different signals to say, I'm not going to do that.
Right, or just I'm gonna do this, but a different flavor of it.
Or something, yeah.
Like there's an infinite number almost of commands that can be executed.
Like options that you can choose.
Right. To say or do at
based
any time.
on what's available, obviously, right? Because there's only so many options available in front of you, so you are the chooser of those options. That will be the mind, the part that also has control over that choosing of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Preferences. Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
Very cool.
Here is what Ryan's commentary says. The body can be ravaged by disease or injured or disabled in a sudden accident. It can be imprisoned or subjected to torture. The breath can suddenly cease because our time has come or because someone has taken it from us. Breathing can grow labored because of exertion or illness as well. But up until the very end, our mind is ours. It's not that the other two parts of life that Marcus mentions, our body and our breath, don't matter. They're just less ours than our mind. You wouldn't spend much time fixing up a house that you rent, would you? Our mind is ours, free and clear. Let's make sure we treat it right. There's like a tad bit of fluffiness in here for me today that I just like don't even want to start unpacking because I feel like I'm just going to go to a brick wall. I appreciate the sentiment, and it's like a little bit so fluffy that I want to just say thank you, I love you, Ryan, and I'll keep trying to figure out what mind is.
Yeah, that's funny. It is funny. The last sentence was really funny. So treat it right. Treat it right. The mind. A lot of people consider themselves the mind. So treat myself right, or treat right what the mechanism of that observes. Like treat yourself right, but like. He's almost like combining like the mind is you or something, even though he is separating it throughout there. Like you're not your body, you're not your breath, but they're saying you are your mind, but there's also you are not your mind, you are that which observes these three things. You're the observation of these things would be maybe like the less fluffy way of like
the Stoics do have like some, what do they call it? They have like this word, and it refers to, it's almost like cosmos or something, but I don't think it's cosmos. But it's a word that means like the overarching system that all humans in existence is part of. So they do recognize this like overarching oneness that we're a part of, and they actually a lot of the virtues kind of stem from that. But it's not as if in the philosophy they're not talking about like trying to get in touch necessarily with that as its own sort of elevated thing, you know, like they're more so just like, hey, this mind is like this crazy thing that's gonna like destroy you. So, and you have a lot of control over it, actually. But you're too busy trying to control shit out here that you have no business trying to control. So why don't you sit down, shut up, look at what's going on inside yourself and fix that shit, and then things out here will get better. So it's not as if they're like poo-pooing the idea of of consciousness as like this singular thing.
No, it just gets a little confusing because there are a bunch of words that mean kind of the same thing, but they're not, and then it's a little confusing.
Right, and then we're also looking at journal entries from Marcus, and so it's like I would never define something in my journal. This isn't, you know what I mean? I'm just writing for myself.
For yourself, not like somebody will be reading this one day.
Right, and so who knows? Like, was Marcus talking about this because he woke up one morning and was like feeling like shit in his body, and he was like, there was like stuff going on like in his relationships or something, that he was like going through a lot of psychological stuff, and he's reminding himself here that the mind is really his most important.
A lot of this stuff came from meditations, right? So it's like, yes, it's his journals, but his journal entries came in from sitting in meditation, and so I'm imagining him meditating and then having notebooks, and when like revelations come and he's like, oh wow, that's like totally connected, he writes something down.
Yeah,
like
I don't know what his daily process was,
that's
because meditation's the name of the work, was put on it later.
Sure. Self-reflecting, maybe, or sitting quietly.
Certainly, there's that quality
observing what is happening in there, inside of this mind, type of a thing, right? Whatever we call mind, like what is going on.
Certainly, there was some meditative process going on, 100%.
Good one, yeah, for sure. To like. Going over this, you kind of like, oh, there are these concepts of body, breath, and the mind, and there's this other thing that is like you call yourself. Like, what is that, right? Like, there are these buckets. Like, it's not. It's like some people are just like, no, that's just me. That's me. I'm breath. I'm body. I'm mind. I'm the thing that observes everything. It's all just me. And like, sure, that is kind of you. You can also look at it that way. Or you can split it in these buckets and then start to poking in them and say like, which one of those are actually the thing that I'm calling myself me? Or go take care of me. Go take care of that thing that's you calling you. Like, which one is that of those buckets? So I like the splitting it apart, then going to look down there. So
that's good. We're gonna end it there. And let us know what you think in the comments.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.